All right, now as everybody is getting back to their seats, I can't stress enough how excited I am that everybody's here today. We have like a really, really smart room. I know North by Northeast Interactive's going on. A lot of smart people going around town for that, but I think we have a way smarter collection of people. I just want to mention, for those of you when you came in, we are giving away a ticket to hashtag Screens13. Those are put on, that's put on by the FITC. Those are the same folks that do North by Northeast Interactive. And to win this free ticket, you'd have to tweet something along the lines of, "Hey, at Project RHINO, send me to hashtag Screens13 at FITC." And then we'll be selecting a winner from that. So if you are interested in going, I will remind you, just tweet something like, "Hey, at Project RHINO, send me to hashtag Screens13 at FITC. Sound good? Everyone follow me on that. Do I hear a yes? Yeah. All right, and is everyone enjoying the at Junction Craft Brewery beer? All right. Well then, I'm very excited. Is everyone enjoying the video being made by at Asterisk Media? Sorry, PJ, they're not as excited about that. And I'm sure no one's enjoying the IdeaPaint, as none of us are writing on walls. But that will be the next drinks and demos. All right, so time for the second half of the event. We have, I think some of the greatest minds in, mobile development here in Toronto, if not Canada, if not North America, if not the world. I can't be sure. I was going to say, if not space, if we go on BNOTIONS things. You guys want to go to space, right? But I'm going to let everybody give themselves, not everybody, everybody up here, a quick, 15-second intro. When I met them all for the first time, I said, "Hey, you were born, now you're here. What happened in between?" So we'll start with Adam at the end.
Hello.
Adam, so you're born, now you're here. What happened in between?
Let's skip the first 23 years of my life and skip to when I started working at 5MPX. I'm their lead designer, and I do everything from the print to the web to the mobile stuff. We have some really good stuff at 5MPX, professional photos, users uploading their best photos just like Flickr, but just way better. Check it out at 5mpx.com. I have some awesome cards there as well if you want a free awesome account. So sign up.
Sweet. And then we have Jean-Luc.
Hi there, I'm Jean-Luc. I'm a startup founder here in Toronto. I'm doing a startup called Cardign, and Cardign is basically an app that allows you to snap a picture of someone's face and get their contact information. So we use facial recognition. So a little bit about my background. I used to be chief evangelist at Microsoft in Redmond, managed 1,200 people, worked at Yellow Pages, built tons of apps. I love going to hackathons, and that's me.
Hi, I'm Scott Cormier. I work at Wave, which is an online accounting solution, payroll, invoicing, all that kind of stuff. And I lead the mobile team there. So that's pretty much me.
Cool. I'm Greg. I'm the chief evangelist at BNOTIONS. So we're a mobile, social, and web development company. We build apps and API development and a lot of tech, a lot of high core tech that we like to integrate into all of our apps. I'm a designer, UX, Android enthusiast, M2M, Internet of Things, that kind of stuff. So.
All right, so the moral of that story is these people know what they're talking about. And actually, two of the guys on the panel have, they each have one of 6 pairs of Google Glass that are in Canada. Jean-Luc brought his pair here. Greg decided to, not steal Jean-Luc's thunder. But, these people are on the cutting edge. And I think there's been a lot going on with mobile lately, and there's a lot of ways we can, take this talk. Two of these guys, specifically Adam and Scott, got involved with companies that were primarily based on PC. 500px, I think, is at least 10 years old, probably started as a photo sharing blog. You were employee 4, the first non-founder employee, and one day you said, "Hey, we should be on the web." And I'm going to cut you off for a second before you even start. And then, Scott started at Wave Accounting actually on the very first day that they launched Wave Payroll. And one day he said, "You know what, guys, there's something we can be doing with mobile. This is a very powerful thing. People are carrying these things in their pockets." And they said, "Hey, if you want to do something, go do it." What was that transition like, and why did you see that needed to happen? Adam, Scott, feel free to take it away.
Sure. So as a photography company, it's awesome to have this opportunity to be everywhere. Photography can be super small or super large, as small as a negative and as large as an IMAX theater. So it was really cool to have this opportunity to be on a smaller screen. But we started with the iPad. We thought the iPad was the best spot to be in. So we built an iPad app, and it blew up, and it was one of the first really huge things for 5MPX. And it was an opportunity to reach an entire new market and an entire new group of people who just wanted to sit on their couch and just swipe through photos all day. And it was some awesome stuff. So we got in just to get to that new market of couch people.
For us, it was more along the lines of we wanted to provide our service to people wherever they were. It's very much a contextual thing for us, and we wanted to engage with our users. You shouldn't have to go and sit home at your desktop to do what you need to do. Doing it in a mobile context would enable you to do it on the run, and we wanted to provide a solution for our users that you could chip away at it as you're riding the TTC or as you're out at the park or whatever. Take 5 minutes and categorize some transactions or send an invoice or run your payroll, which was our first mobile app. So it was definitely more contextual thinking in that respect. It was one part of a bigger story for us. So.
You're interrupting my photo taking. So I'm actually sending pictures to our friend Hero, who works at Facebook out in Menlo Park. He said he wishes he could be here, so Hero, you actually are here in spirit. But you touched on something interesting. You wanted to be where your users are. Often you hear mobile first, mobile first, mobile first. Jean-Luc, I know you're and actually Greg, you have a very passionate opinion about this. Do you want to correct me?
I'm not going to correct you. The thing I've got to say is that if you look at the 90s, a lot of the web startups, well, like Yahoo, tried to get everybody to go to one portal. And it was really, the strategy was really trying to get people to you. And I think the strategy today is really all about that long tail, trying to get to everyone. And mobile is definitely a very important component of that. But I feel like you need a web presence, you need a mobile presence, you need to be pretty much where your customers are going to be.
And so right now, so there's now two distinct ways we can take this. Apple just had a huge event a couple days ago. I know a couple of you at least have iOS 7 installed. Anyone familiar with this new iOS 7 flat design? Hands up if you are. Okay, so if you want to see what it's like, and well, actually, I'm sure there's a lot of devs, but they have it if you don't. But what do you think of this new iOS 7? Is this something that's going to compete with Android? Where does Windows 8 fall in? Oh, of course, you give the mic to the Android guy.
I have a lot of nice things to say about iOS 7. No, I do. I think they have a lot of users. There's hundreds of millions of users, worldwide. So they've really cornered that, the non-tech. Not as diverse, not as, geeky kind of, it's a real fluid user experience. They've upgraded, iOS 6, they had a lot of stuff. Their development kind of milestones are really, really impressive. Like the user experience is really tight, and it's nice to see that they've, continued to evolve, what they've done. I just have issues with, Apple being proprietary and kind of more of a walled garden, Android being more open source and kind of, allowing those external technologies like, NFC and, not AR, but like other types of technologies that they kind of integrate. The APIs are a lot more open, so you can kind of build and innovate a lot more on a lot of different form factors. We have you have phones and you have tablets, but Android's getting into spaces where you're into like everybody says that tweeting washing machine and kind of stuff like that. But that kind of that moves more towards, the wearables, like Glass, Google Glass. So they're kind of pushing that boundary of, that's the Internet of Things. That's, a passion of mine. So we try to look for different areas that Android's kind of innovating and seeing what type of user experience are they creating. Like everything that has a screen that you've touched on in the last few years are going to get smarter. So you're going to be able to have these applications that are, interactive and that are just, that give you that other data that, is really valuable to you as a user. So.
Sort of talked about the future and the Internet of Things. The idea of like sensors everywhere that can go. Well, actually, I know that a few of you have Adam has some really interesting visions on what he wants the future to be. I asked him a question. I said, Adam, what's the world like in 5 years? So think about it like, I don't know, iPhone has not been around since that long, since 2007, I think it was introduced. So what's that, 6 years? Phones before iPhone were drastically different. When the iPhone came out, the headlines probably did read something like, oh, Apple releases, MP3 playing phone. And of course, that's probably not how we would describe it today. Now, Google has this Google Glass. There aren't many great apps on it yet because there is no app store really for it yet. They're just getting in the hands of developers now. And that's pretty much where iPhone was a few years ago. But what does the future hold?
So Google Glass is a good start to the future, but I don't think it is the future. I think it's like a middleware between the smartphone and whatever's next. And I think what's next is interactivity between all your devices and even some devices you don't think of, like your kitchen counter. So you're browsing a recipe on your phone, you come home, you throw your phone on the counter, or place it gently on the counter, and and it throws out like a list of ingredients you need, and it knows that your fridge has all these ingredients. So you can go, okay, you put your red pepper on the table, you put your mushrooms on the table, or on the counter, and it can weigh those things. Okay, you need less of this, you need half one of these, and it will tell you that in real time around the thing you're cooking. That type of interactivity, I think, is incredible, and you can imagine that at work as well, where you come to work and you put your phone down or whatever device at that time, and it throws up all the windows on this huge display that covers your entire vision. And when you're done, you throw them back onto this device and you take them with you and you take them home. It's all this interactivity and always having this thing that knows where you are, knows what you want to do, and I would love to have something like that. So.
But okay, so this sounds good. So, as far as I can remember,
Yep.
I was a little wee kid, and I had my first Pentium 386. So that makes me actually pretty young. But there's actually someone. James is in grade 10. James came all the way down from Richmond Hill, and so definitely speak to James. He wants to get into app development. I can't even imagine how he sees the world now. But it seems like we've been speaking forever about, these devices are going to make your life better. You'll have more free time. Why now? Why is this going to be different? Why is this possible? Why is this, Internet of Things happening today as opposed to 10 years ago?
Well, one of the reasons I think is, there's been big movements in like hardware. So hardware and sensors, all the prices have dropped. So you have like open source projects like Arduino and Raspberry Pi and kind of things like that really kind of enable developers to, actually bring them in your house. Raspberry Pis are this big, and it's a full computer. And you can meet, friends of James and stuff that if they're non-tech, they don't understand. Like, this is a full computer. You can plug it into a monitor, and you're off to the races. So having, the hardware and these other sensors are getting really small, and they're getting smart. So there's a lot of platforms now that will allow you to kind of connect these sensors to a hub, and then you extract that data into either mobile device or your tablet device. But like he mentioned, the future is going to be these, different wearables, different types of, display technologies, different, things are getting smarter, and, it's up to developers to kind of push the boundaries and create the next generation of apps. So.
I do want to sort of ask, what do you want to see people working on today? So, you're all with great companies. Actually, Jean-Luc is always working on new stuff. I heard today he has a new company, or a new product. He's just a true hacker at heart. But what do you want to see exist? I want to hear an answer from everyone. And I'll say, if you say it, somebody in here in the crowd can take the idea.
I hope so, because I would probably use it myself. So we had talked about this earlier tonight. So one of these, you see these wearables like Google Glass, like Fitbit, like I don't know, any number, the fuel band, any number of things, but there's going to be a lot of them. And that means there's going to be a lot of different places that you have to go to look at this data. And at the same time, one of the risks in that is that you could build your product on a platform, on all these different APIs, so that you aggregate them in one place, and I can go and I can look at Withings? Is that the name of the company? Yeah, so the scales, the Fitbit, and I can see my health in one stop for shopping kind of thing. I would love to see that, because I don't see anything out there that is that is doing that right now. I know that even a lot of these wearables are new at the moment, but at the same time, that's the kind of thinking that we need to see. Those types of APIs, those types of those interfaces that are going to show me an aggregation of all the different products that I'm using. I would, that's something that I would buy into moving forward for sure.
I'm getting really excited about wearables. There's a company out in Montreal called Ohm Signal, and basically you wear this shirt and it tells you your heart rate. It tells you a lot of stats about your health. And I'm wearing a Fitbit, not a Fitbit, but a Nike Fuel Band right now, and I'm really into basically understanding my health, and the concept of creating an API around it is something really exciting for me. I actually went to Y Combinator a couple of months ago, and I participated in their hardware hackathon. And I built kind of this glove that looks like the Iron Man glove. And it had an Arduino device. It was a Lily pad and the pulse sensor, which monitored my pulse. It also had a buzzer and a temperature sensor. And the idea was to create something called the Body API, which would capture all this data and provide an interface for developers to do stuff with the data. But what was interesting about it is we created a post. So you could write to your body, and that's pretty weird. But the way we did it was using the buzzer, right? And so the scenario would be, maybe you're wearing this glove or whatever device, and you're walking around, and this program detects that your blood pressure and your heart rate's going down, and your temperature is going down. So it might be an indicator that you're hungry. So it sends a buzz to you to let you know that it's time to eat something. So we actually won. We won at the Y Combinator Hackathon for Best Wearable Technology, and it's kind of a cool concept. Yeah.
So besides my interactivity dream, I think the next innovation would be how to manipulate the data in front of you. So touch is a great start, but touch on a small pad or on a small, even 10-inch screen is nothing compared to this entire area in front of you. I'm not talking Minority Report where you're waving your arms around looking like a Connect idiot, but something more, you have a surface, or you have this entire, like, photographers use this like infinity background where the background wraps around to the floor. Can you imagine that in front of you, where all this thing is touchable and you can swipe things and move things around like you would in real life? So you have a window you can pull up here, and instead of just a keyboard, you have whatever tool you need in front of you, and it takes over the entire canvas. That's something that you can't do with a keyboard and mouse. You can't even do with a touchpad or an iPad. You need something much grander than that. So that if I had one physical device, I would have something like that.
So I'm actually going to go on the software side. So who's familiar with Siri on iPhone? Okay. Who's heard of Google Now? So a little bit less, more the same. So I know. So Google Now is like this ambient kind of background tracking. It takes all your calendar invites, searches through your Gmail, and kind of really like organizes your life. So what I see kind of happening is we're going to have more of these personalized kind of experiences where, there's so much data out there. I'm online, I search all the blogs and kind of all the social marketing, and there's just so much data. So it's kind of good to kind of get that filtered into, our own personal stuff. So I want, my sports scores, only the teams that I follow, and I want all the, the blogs, like the tech blogs, all the specific ones. I want that data to come to me. So I kind of like that, you can integrate it obviously with wearables. Glass integrates, Google Now to kind of give you those updates. But I think as you go out throughout your day, either for work or for personal, we're going to get into, a time where, we want that personal data. There's just so much out there that we want kind of our own kind of experience and the data that's contextual, kind of where I'm at in location. If I'm in a certain location, I want notifications that look, here's a deal, here's a digital coupon that you can use at this store. Now, right now, we go to all these restaurants, go to all these stores. Nobody gives us coupons. Nobody gives us a deal on what we're buying. But I think, you can download apps that have specific coupons, but who does that? Who actually goes out and finds those? So I would like, different new types of services that give me those coupons, that give me deals all the time. So I think that's going to happen.
I have one thing to add. How many of you are developers? Wow, good. So I'm planning a hackathon in September. That's called the Mind in Motion Hackathon. And it's basically a hackathon on brainwaves and motion, like leap motion and Kinect. So we're trying to push the envelope on what you can do in terms of user experience and how you interact with technology.
That was actually a wonderful segue into me letting people know that there's a fellow that's a member here at the RHINO. His name is Cyprian. Cyprian has his hand up there. Everybody, big round of applause for Cyprian. And he has, I'm not going to even pretend to know what it is, but it does something with brain waves, and if you have shorter hair, it works better. But Cyprian wants to show it around to a bunch of people later on. So definitely, if that interests you and you're a developer, then get in touch with Jean-Luc about his hackathon in September and everything. Actually, you two connect. There we go. It's all about synergy here at the RHINO.
Yeah, to Greg's point about Google Now, and I think it's the bigger play is like the simple fact that intelligence, the fact that we know the information that you provide, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, to Flea's case, Spotify and RDO, and all these different types of services that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, you're giving that data over to those services, and we can interact with that data and inform you on your decisions, and not necessarily what you should do, but we could at least surface up content that is more relevant to you. So to the point of Google Now, and in Wave's case, where you're running your business, we should be notifying you of the fact that, hey, somebody owes you money on your invoice, before instead of you going to check. These are the types of notifications that are relevant to you, and to the point of Google Now, take that into the business case, and I'm sure a number of you are entrepreneurs. It would be a hell of a lot more helpful to you to know these types of things instead of going and chasing down these things. So, like I said, Jeff owes an invoice for X amount of dollars, but he always pays on time, so this is never the case. But something's overdue, you get a notification. You have to run your payroll, you get a notification to do so. So these types of things, I would like to see the technology go in that direction as well.
For sure. All right, can I get a big round of applause for our panel tonight?